My Labor Day weekend was a little bit unusual. As I was saying to Steve and Sandy, about 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, my phone goes off, and I'm getting communication from George Millay, who used to be one of the anchors at today's TMJ4. Now he's in Indianapolis. And George and I, we did TV back in the day when I did TV and stuff, and his text said, gee, I know you were a huge Jimmy Buffett fan, and I'm so sorry about his passing. And I'm, oh my gosh, at which point in time I'm awake, I'm looking at this, sent a note out to my brother, who was a huge fan as well. And yeah, Jimmy Buffett passing away at the age of 76. He had been canceling his concerts. I was scheduled to see him in Las Vegas last fall, and they canceled that, and then they rescheduled some shows, and then some other shows got canceled again in February, and I think everybody knew he was sick. Nobody knew how sick he was, and he ended up passing away because of a rare form of skin cancer is what ended up killing him. And I think it's just the shock. And I was just mentioning this to Steve earlier. It's kind of funny how artists are a part of your life. I first really started tuning in to Jimmy Buffett in 1975 when a college roommate of mine brought home a Jimmy Buffett record. It was like his third studio album. And I'm like, wow. And it was really sort of transformative. And back in the day, you'd have albums, those things on vinyl that would come out every day, every year that is. And they'd kind of, you'd see where the artist was in their lifestyle. And I don't know, going on probably 50 records. I was looking at my iPod. Yes, I still have an iPod, and there's 713 Jimmy Buffett songs on it, the collection from lots of the albums, not some of the most recent ones. They're stored somewhere else. But it's an amazing life and lifestyle and all. As I was mentioning with Buffett, I think he is underrated as a performer. A lot of people think, oh, it's this like beach bum vibe, and you think about Margaritaville. But actually, if you get into the Buffett catalog, there's a lot of great songs, and you really appreciate what a poet and a songwriter he was. And most of my favorite Buffett songs are not the most quote-unquote popular ones, the ones that have to be played at the different concerts. And if you're looking for an exposure to Jimmy Buffett, try one particular, well, we played one particular harbor, but try Come Monday, which is Fran and my wedding song, or try A Pirate Looks at 40, or I think my personal favorite, Trying to Reason with the Hurricane Season. But there's so many great song lines. If you follow me on Twitter, I sent out a tweet the other night. In the den of my house, we have my wife had an artist we know had prepared. It's on wood. It's not really a painting, but it's a picture of Jimmy Buffett's, a drawing of Jimmy Buffett's airplane, and then it's got one of my very, very favorite song lines from a Buffett song called "Breathe In, Breathe Out, Move On," which I think is just a great way to go through life. But it was kind of a difficult weekend, and I've been hearing from people all over the country from all different portions of my past, just to talk about Jimmy Buffett. So here's one of the things that we're going to do this week. Now, I've told this story before, but this is, if you follow us on YouTube, all right, this is my visual aid for the week. You can listen to, of course, on the radio, and we appreciate that, but you can also stream the show live. Go to WTMJ.com and click on the Watch Live button. You can click on the Listen Live button too, but if you want to see it, you can watch live, or go to YouTube and click on just WTMJ, and then you can watch this live. So I have told this story before, and it's true, and it's kind of, okay, if you're a Buffett fan, it's a cult. It's a nice cult, but it's a cult. And there was a period of time, and this is why, if you think you want to be married to me, well, it takes a little bit of going on. So over the years, I collected Jimmy Buffett T-shirts, certainly at the different concerts. And like I say, I stopped counting at over 80 concerts. So I have all these tour shirts, but also I would order shirts from like Margaritaville in Key West and Margaritaville in Las Vegas and things like that. And I would collect these different tour shirts. And to the point now that my wife will look at these and say, do you realize that you have like over 100 of these T-shirts? To the point that, so what she's done is, rather than have them all in a closet, and we did have them in an upstairs closet off my office, now what's happened is she takes like, all of them got like folded up, and I have like 15 that are in rotation. And she said, okay, these 15 are the ones that you can wear for the next 6 months, and then, we'll go down and we'll bring another 15 different ones up and retire these. So there's this kind of rotation. And I say that, and the truth of the matter is, when I die, I know that what's going to happen is Fran is going to take all these Jimmy Buffett T-shirts and they're going to put them on the front lawn on like clothes racks, and the sign is going to say Jeff's dead, T-shirts for free. I understand that is exactly what's going to happen. But I thought as a way of acknowledging Jimmy's passing, what I'm doing this week, and I never wear T-shirts. I mean, I understand it's radio, and even before the cameras and stuff, it's just you can't see what we're wearing. But I was for a long time I was wearing suits. Now I don't do that anymore. But I decided what we're going to do this week is I'm pulling out different Jimmy Buffett tour shirts. These are ones that I bought at purchased at the various shows, and we're going to be wearing one each day. So today I am wearing. This is a Jimmy Buffett T-shirt from their I Don't Know tour in 2016 and 2017. For those of you watching on the air, here we're going to do the visual aid here. That is the front and the back of the T-shirt. We're going to be modeling a different T-shirt every day this week, proving, sometimes I tell these stories and I think people, I couldn't have seen that many shows, or he can't really have that many T-shirts. No, I do. Matter of fact, one of the big issues this weekend was, okay, which tour shirts do I want to wear? And I have one of my favorites is from like the Tiki Time tour in 2003. And my wife is saying, you're going to look like a pumpkin if you wear that. But I'm willing to brave it. So we will be modeling WTMJ Jimmy Buffett T-shirts on WTMJ for the balance of the week. All right, I want to start off with a sort of Buffett-related topic. And it's funny. I never met Jimmy Buffett. I've met members of the band at like autograph signings. I've run into members of the band at the airport. I was telling a true story with Steve and Sandy a couple minutes ago. We saw a show, my brother and my brother is a huge parrot head as well, and he says I got him into it, and it's probably correct. I've gotten my brother into a lot of stuff over the years, and this is probably a good thing. But we had gone out a number of years ago to see a Buffett show in San Diego, and so we're coming back, and it was San Diego to Denver, and then Denver to Milwaukee, and so we're at the San Diego airport waiting for the plane, and who should we run into but a number of members of the Buffett's band who were very, very nice, and we had a good conversation with them, and they gave us a bunch of these specialty guitar picks, I think, to kind of make us go away. It's one of those things where you go up to them and say, I'm not a stalker. And that's always when you start a conversation by saying, hey, I'm not a stalker. I know all sorts of like red flags go off. But we had a wonderful conversation with that. But I never met Jimmy Buffett, but I felt like I knew him. And candidly, there's, the entire weekend I've been thinking about the guy's passing because somebody I didn't know, but somebody who I feel has been a part of my life since, again, 1975, whether it's going to concerts or listening to the tunes or things like that. And even though I've never met him, it's like, wow, you feel like you've kind of lost a friend. And there's this little emptiness that is there. My guess is we all have someone in our life like that, somebody that you never met, but who affected you in some way, shape, or form. And when that person passes, as people inevitably do, you feel this sense of loss, even though you never knew them at all. I mean, it's not like, it's not like losing your parents, of course. It's not like losing your spouse. It's not like losing your best friend. It's not like losing, close friends over the years. But still, even though it's somebody that you never met, you still somehow go, wow, I can't believe that person is gone. And my life, glad they were in my life, even though they weren't really in my life. But I'm glad that they were in my life, but I feel like this little empty void. Our number is 855-616-1620, which is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Now, I understand this is kind of an esoteric way to start the Tuesday program after Labor Day weekend, but do you know what I'm talking about? Is there somebody, celebrity, obviously, politician, somebody in your life, you never met them, but once you heard about their passing, it just impacted you and maybe to this day. I was trying to think of a comparison. My guess is, Elvis Presley. I mean, Elvis, if I know that there were people who just loved Elvis Presley, and he was such a big part of their life. And when he passed away in 1977, my guess is that there's a void for people, and maybe that void still exists today. 855-616-1620. Who is that person that even though you never met them, their passing impacts and affects you? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Kind of an esoteric start to the Tuesday show. But I'm curious if you understand the feeling that I'm trying to express and who that would be for you. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner. Jimmy Buffett, of course, passing away over the weekend. We're gonna do a little bit of a tribute to Buffett. Also, a number of people are saying, "Hey, we wanted to check it out on stream. We want to see I'm going to be wearing a Buffett tour shirt, a different one every day this week." And people missed it the first time. So if you want to go on our live stream and check it out, I will do the modeling thing and turn around in just a couple minutes to give people who want to log onto the stream. YouTube, just go to YouTube, WTMJ. Watch WTMJ on our channel or WTMJ.com. Click on the Watch Live. But I'm gonna have a different tour shirt every day this week. It's a recognition of the passing of just an incredible artist. But what we're talking about now is I never met Jimmy Buffett, and yet I feel really, really bad about this passing. His music and his story was a part of my life since 1975. That's going on 50 years. And even though I never met him, there just feels like there is a gap. My guess is there might be somebody in your life, an entertainer, a politician, whatever, who has, that impact. 855-616-1620. Yvonne in Milwaukee. Hi, Yvonne.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, in my defense, my producer put it up as IVAN. So Yvonne. Hi, Yvonne.
Dear, hi there. The night that Princess Diana died,
yeah.
I quit smoking, and for some goofy reason, I just dedicated that to her, and it really helped me quit. And since then, I've been to London, and I've been in Harrods department store, and seen the amazing big display of her and Dodie.
Yeah,
it's kind of moving.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's a great example. Princess Diana, who most people didn't know, but except through, the media coverage and all that stuff, she touched just so many different lives, and the worldwide outpouring for her that continues to this day is just an amazing thing.
It is.
No.
She's special. Special.
Thanks for the call, Yvonne. Appreciate it. Let's talk to Tammy in Milwaukee. Tammy, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hi there. My person is Robin Williams and Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
They made a big impact on me when both of them passed away. They had such an incredible impact. Steve with all of his environmental and animal rescue and help, and
Yep.
Robin Williams brought lots of attention to the depression and how hidden it can be in
Right.
people you'd never expect.
Right. No, Tammy, thanks for calling. No, I mean, Robin Williams, just certainly a great example, somebody who was just such a big star and so very talented. And you think of him from his comedic roles, but also, the serious stuff he did in movies like Good Will Hunting and all. And it's just I can't believe that this guy is gone. One of our texts, Jeff, when Rush Limbaugh died, I felt like a family member died. Through radio, I let him into my home every day. It left a real void in my day. That's the one thing, and see, that's the cool thing about radio. And I don't compare myself to Rush Limbaugh or anything, but I've been doing this in this market for, going on 30 years now. And I always appreciate that people are kind enough to invite me into your cars or into your homes or listen to it on the stream or whatever. And, you get to feel, it like you're the people, even though we haven't met, you hope that you feel like you're part of my life. And that's the thing that Buffett somehow did for the legions of parrot heads all over the world. Let's talk to Gianni in Montello. Gianni, or on WTMJ.
Yeah, Jeff, great topic. Listen, I remember when John Lennon died, and I've been an amateur musician all my life, and that was a pivotal point. his voice is still with us. His music is still with us. And, of course, years later, over 40 years later, now we're McCartney will probably pass in the next, decade or two. And that will be another, very difficult thing to digest because, the Beatles were probably the most influential musicians in the 20th century. Yeah. And once they're gone, that's going to be...
No, you're right, Gianni. There's no question about it. And going back to John Lennon, that was such a shock because here you have somebody who's in his 40s who's just shot on the street. I vividly remember that happened on a Monday night. I vividly remember Howard Cosell breaking in. It was during Monday Night Football when it used to be on ABC, and I remember them breaking in with this news that John Lennon has been shot. It's just incredible. A number of texts. Let's see, John F. Kennedy. There's no question about that. If you are of a certain age, Prince really hit me more than I thought it would. Jeff, for me, it was Hank Aaron. Right. I mean, I think these are all people that you think of. Jeff, Bob Collins. I listened to him as a teenager when he was a DJ on WOKY. Then during his time at GN, his death after a small plane crash was such a personal loss. You radio hosts have a special connection with listeners more than you know. Well, that's very kind. I hope that that's the case. Jeff, I'm a fellow Parrothead, and yearly my wife and I go to Key West. We have seen many Jimmy concerts. I've never personally met him, but I feel like I've lost a good drinking and party friend. Sad day, sad weekend. Number of people are mentioning John Denver when John Denver passed away. Jeff, for me, it was David Bowie when he passed. I was highly anticipating his new album and got it the day it was released. He died a few days later, and to listen to the lyrics on that album was sad because he knew he was going to go soon. Jeff, Jerry Garcia, also Warren Zevon. Yes and yes and yes. Jeff, for my generation, especially my older brother, although he didn't die, back then it was thought to be a death sentence when Magic Johnson had to prematurely retire from the NBA when he tested positive for HIV. Well, if you're going to talk sports figures, Kobe Bryant, I'm sure that if you were a huge Lakers fan or a huge basketball fan, that's one that has to get you as well. Let's talk to Andy in Sheboygan. Andy, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I've got three. I'm 45 years old. So in high school, I was big into grunge and, the 90s music. And
right.
Kurt Cobain really was hard to go through that experience with losing Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later, 20 years old in college in Madison, Chris Farley died.
Yep.
That was difficult because I was big into watching, Saturday Night Live and sketch comedy and all those movies and things like that. And, Jimmy Buffett really hurt me this weekend.
Yeah.
Having been to, I went to Les Select and St. Bart's and had a cheeseburger, and I saw him in Paris one time.
You saw him that was on my
at Alpine.
Andy, that was on my. I have very few regrets in life, but one of the big regrets is I never saw him when he did one of the Paris shows, and that was on my bucket list. And I was like, okay, well, you always have time. You figure he's going to be doing this forever. You always have time, and I'm kicking myself that I never got to see him play in Paris.
Right. Yeah, it was at a time I had just had surgery in July, so I was recovering, and I bought the tickets online. I said, hey, honey, we're going to go to Paris to see Jimmy. And then made a whole trip of it. Went to Oktoberfest on the way there. Oh,
no, it's tremendous. No, thanks, Nicole. These are just all great ones. Colin and Shawano. Colin, you're on WTMJ.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Colin.
Yeah, I, like you, I'm also a huge Parrothead, and Saturday morning was pretty rough. I turned on Spotify, and the first song that came on was Come Monday as I stepped into the shower, and I bawled my eyes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know the man at all, but we are so connected to him and have bought into him for all the years. Our oldest son, when we were in labor and delivery for 4 hours, we listened to the Banana Wind soundtrack, just the instrumental Banana Wind for 4 hours.
Wow.
I'm sure the obstetrician and all the nurses wanted to kill us after 4 hours, but
yeah, well,
they got to learn about Jimmy Buffett for 4 hours.
It is.
And,
yeah. Yeah, no, Colin, thanks. I mean, it's just and look, and I understand this is funny. I mean, life, life is like this. People come into your lives, and then people, die. That's that's the one thing that's inevitable. It's just a question of how long can you shine it on, and what kind of life can you have. And it's just funny to me that somebody, and look, and part of it is just. For example, like I say, my brother and I are extremely close, and we made a habit of going to Jimmy Buffett concerts. Sometimes a couple times a year. Matter of fact, we were talking over the weekend. My favorite, and I've seen Jimmy Buffett all over the country, not all over the world, unfortunately. My two favorite shows, I had to look up the time on the internet. 1989, December 5th and 6th, he played at the Riverside Theater, just him and one of his guitar players, Mac McAnally, in early December. And it was a relatively intimate show, like 3,000-4,000 people played 2 nights in a row. And it was a spectacular show. I mean, I'm used to seeing him in, the giant amphitheaters where you get the inside theaters where you get 15 or 20,000, or the places like Summerfest or Alpine Valley where you have a lot more. But my brother and I both agree that those two shows were some of our most memorable ones. But again, it was something that we did together, and it was shared sort of memory, and that's the kind of thing that makes it so special. Jeff, for me, Jimmy Buffett, Eddie Van Halen, growing up is over. Growing up is over. Jeff, I grew up watching Johnny Carson and felt a great loss when he passed. Number of people are mentioning John Prine. I was a huge John Prine fan as well. And he passed away during COVID. He'd been sick for a number of years, though, so it wasn't quite a surprise. Number of people are mentioning Elvis Presley as well. Marvin Gaye. How could I forget Muhammad Ali? You got Michael Jackson. A number of people are mentioning Prince. It's interesting to me how people can connect on that sort of level, and how people that you never knew can be just such a part of your life. But I felt that way about Jimmy Buffett, and I know you have people that you feel that way about as well, that touched your life, were your friends even though you never met them. And how cool is that? And what a tribute to a person. How better can you say, boy, it was a life well lived when you can touch so many people's lives, even though they never met you personally. All right, let's take a quick break. Oh, as I promised, if you are watching us on the live stream, we might actually have a record number of people watching right now. We're going to do this every day, but this is my Jimmy Buffett tour shirt from the I Don't Know tour in 2016 and 2017. And so we'll give everybody a view here. Radio silence for just a moment for those watching at home. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.